trying to touch base with artists and musicians just about how COVID kind of affected them as artists and as individuals, and then we can just talk about whatever else we want to talk about. But when the shit hit the fan, where were you? Where were you guys? Were you back home by then, or were you out on the road?
No, we're at home. We did a US tour at the start of the year, and then a little one-off shows after that in the UK. But we've not we had pretty much all of March off, and then we were meant to be starting in April. A European tour in April, which obviously is now cancelled. So we were at home. Yeah.
Okay. And are you guys all doing well? Are you all on lockdown right now? Is that the way it is? I know that it changed recently. Boris changed everything.
Yeah.
So what's the kind of current status of how everything is?
Yes, it's in lockdown. Not super strict. People are allowed to go to work. You're allowed to go out for a walk and do exercise as long as you're socially distanced, all that sort of stuff. So not as strict as we've seen in like Italy or Spain. But we are officially in meant to be in some sort of quarantine, staying inside, socially distanced.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I wanted to know is a lot of people right now are finding themselves quarantined or locked in. Each state in the United States calls it something different, and I think each country calls it different. But basically, we're all shut-ins now, whether we want to be or not. And a lot of us are trying to find ways to pass the time. How are we going to fill our times without going insane? I'm wondering what you are doing, what you guys are doing as a band, and then maybe I'd like to pick your brain with any recommendations you have for how people can stop themselves from going crazy when they're in lockdown.
Yeah.
It's all on you, buddy.
Okay. I guess our guitarist Fabian works in a hospital, so he's still going to work full time. I think it's definitely more stressful at his work now. So I guess he's working a lot. He's sort of experiencing it that way. I work in construction, and the work I do falls under utilities, which is considered sort of one of the essential jobs. So I'm still working. I'm self-employed, but I'm down to about part-time. I'm not getting as much work as I like, but I've enough to keep going. So I'm sort of just doing it like emergency work, sort of part-time. And I think Matthew, he worked on building sites, and the building sites are closed, so he's fully off work.
Absolutely.
So I'm kind of working part-time and then part-time in the house.
So what are you doing to kill the time? Are you writing a lot right now, or?
I don't know. I feel like I've been coping with it quite well so far. I think I'm getting out and going to work, which does provide some socializing and seeing people and stuff, which is like, even in a socially distanced way, it's still actually quite nice. And like, I still people move around a bit, and that's like, I don't have it as bad as some people do. I guess I'm not just fully like in the house all the time. But I've just been trying to like just stay really positive, not like it'd be really easy, wouldn't it, to be really depressed and like looking at some of the predictions long term, like very wildly, but there are some definitely quite negative like predictions. And this whole thing is quite scary. So I think it'd be quite easy to get quite down and quite depressed. So I'm just trying to really not let that creep in at all, and just try and stay real positive. I've been trying to read quite a bit. Trying to start thinking about doing a new record at some point, so I need to write some new lyrics. Yep. So I've been reading quite a lot to try and inform that. Watching a lot of films, I guess. Been trying to go out for a walk every day. It's like trying to do a bit of exercise. I'm trying to grow some vegetables in the garden. I've decided.
Right on. Yes. We just started a garden here, my family and I. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Sick. Yes. Yeah. That's like a cool thing to do, I think. Yeah. I don't know what your rationale was, but I guess you realize how society and the society we live in just like hangs by a thread, and our reliance on capitalism and the structures that are in place. Like you realize when something like this happens, like actually how fragile it all is, and how disempowered you are with like the way your own life runs and stuff. So I'm trying. I thought maybe I'm guessing you've had a similar thought, but maybe to try and grow some vegetables and try and learn how to like grow my own food might be useful skills for whatever may face us in the future.
No, I completely agree. Plus, I have to be the school teacher now for my kids.
Okay,
So
yeah.
it's a
You're
way
gonna-
to kind of,
yeah.
it's a way to say that again.
I can only imagine having kids makes it a whole new level of difficult.
It's very interesting to keep them positive.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say is that the younger generation is much more adept at using social media. So, this took me like 2 days to figure out how the hell I was going to do this. Meanwhile, my kids are talking with all of their friends constantly. So it's a little bit easier for them. You were mentioning earlier books and films. You and I have talked once or twice briefly about political theory, and I think I mentioned to you I'm kind of an old Noam Chomsky, kind of that line of anarchism. When you talk about the work that you're doing with lyrics, do you draw a lot of that from nonfiction work, or do you? Because you mentioned reading, is it nonfiction? Is it fiction? Combination? Personal stories? I'm just interested where the lyrics come from.
My go-to to write lyrics is I read a lot. I've got into a lot of poetry because of this, because I guess they're pretty similar, and like it's just very condensed writing, isn't it? And you're very concise and sort of condensed. So I'm really into like modernist poetry at the moment. Like I like some of the classics like T.S. Eliot, like Auden, but then like some new things like John Burnside. Who else have been reading recently? Sharon Olds, people like that. I read a lot of, and that like I feel like if you just fill your head with lots of different ways of describing things and like clever like plays with language, that's quite good. But non-fiction wise, try and read a bit of anarchist theory. I think you have to sort of try and keep up. And I've been reading about is it the Demoka group, or this anti-work group in the 1920s? This anarchist like anti-work youth movement. Been reading about those, and then in Holland, I've reading about those quite a bit recently. It's been quite cool. I read when we were doing the last album, I was looking into things like Kronstadt, or like the betrayal of anarchists under like authoritarian communist regimes. I thought like that was like quite a tragic but beautiful sort of story, the Kronstadt rebellion. So there's a lot of end up in a few Kronstadt references in our last record. I guess when you're trying to do anything creative, especially writing, I guess you want to try and be drawing on everything in your world, don't you? And I guess anarchism and poetry are the two things that influence the lyrics the most, I guess.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I remember when the first album came out. It was the EP that came out. And there was a line in the first song off the album.
Yeah.
Black Flag, right?
Yeah.
And it's do you want things to be better or just slightly easier for you?
Yeah.
And I knew from the second I heard that song, and I was like, all right, I gotta pay attention to these guys, because you in some ways it was throwing down the gauntlet in many ways, right? And so I was wondering if you would talk about, because that line for me is just a very powerful line about that trade-off of just like it says, doing something kind of just for yourself as an individual versus broadening things out. So I was wondering if you could talk about that a little bit, because it seems to inform, that one line informs a lot of the thought, I think, that's lies beneath what you guys talk about. So if you could just maybe talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I get that. That song is just it's just about anarchism, pure and simple. Obviously, as you say. It's more specifically as well about voting and like the difference between being an anarchist and being a liberal. And we had like a liberal candidate, Jeremy Corbyn, here in the like honestly like there's I felt a bit disappointed because I saw a lot of supposed radicals like really thrown in with him, and when you actually look at the Labour Party's track record, it's actually like fairly terrible. Like they started the privatisation of healthcare, universities, of schools. They were they're part of the invasion of Iraq.
They bought into the neoliberal dream just like a lot of the Democrats did over here.
Yeah. And I can't support something like that. And I think that line specifically, do you want things to be better, are slightly different for you, was sort of talking about liberals having a blind spot over the history of some of the people they will throw in with. And I think maybe I can see some parallels in the upcoming US elections. That actually, like, when you actually look at these honestly liberal capitalist parties, the things they've already done and the things they will actually like realistically support, like, are not, these are not radical people. They're not a radical party. It's just maybe like soft capitalism. And the only people that are actually going to feel any benefit are going to be the white middle classes. If you're actually like, if you're poor, person of color, if you're a migrant, if you live in the global south, like, those people are your fucking enemy, no matter what color fucking flag they have. So, or what color tie they wear. So I think that was more specifically that line was, in my mind, was sort of about that, about like, all right, these liberal politicians will be slightly better in a few things, but ultimately this is just like the continued march of capitalism.
Absolutely. Couple of quick things. Do you have any movies, just for the people who are shut in right now, going back to that, do you have any movies or shows that you're watching right now that you would recommend to people?
I absolutely tore through Succession. The sort of based on the sort of the super rich family.
Absolutely.
I thought that was awesome. That was really, really good. It's quite cool getting, like, obviously it's fictitious, but getting an insight into the lives of the super wealthy and actually like how stressful and miserable a life it can be at the top, I guess, was quite cool, and definitely kind of reaffirmed some of the positives that I see in my life, actually. And it's very easy to aspire to wealth, isn't it? And like it's very easy to like, even with the best will in the world, you can't help but be a bit envious of the rich sometimes, or the lives they lead. But I enjoyed that actually made them to be this really ugly, terrible, horrendous people. So that was really good. Me and my girlfriend are really into horror. I just watch a lot of horror. I really like a film called Coherence. I don't know if you've seen that. It's like a sort of sci-fi horror sort of film about a comet going overhead, and it sort of starts to mess with time and space and stuff. So Coherence is a really good film. I really enjoyed that. What else have we watched? We like 2 horror films called Resolution and The Endless by the same.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I fucking love those films. They're probably my favorite horror. How they connect together, like, real clever. So I like stuff like that. I like horror because it's just like super escapist, isn't it? And it's just like, it's so like, because it's quite intense, it's just super absorbing, and like it just like for an hour and a half, 2 hours, it fully just takes you out of your life and where you are.
Absolutely.
Well, that's quite good. And there is fucking hours of Succession, so that'll kill you.
That'll keep you busy for a little bit. A few more questions here, and then I'll let you go. The first one is just, what's something, and I think you could go off for a while on this, but I usually ask people, what's something in particular that's just pissing you off or getting under your skin right now? I know you're trying to stay positive, but.
Oh God, what's pissing me off? I don't know. I feel like I don't always admit things to myself. So we've had a lot of tours cancelled. We've done Raid. We had a load of merch we were going to roll out, which has all got delayed. There's loads of people I was going to be looking forward to seeing at festivals and stuff like this coming month. Obviously, all that is cancelled, and then it's hard to sort of look forward to anything else because you don't know how long this is going on for. So you don't know what you're looking forward to, do you? And so deep down, I'm kind of gutted about that because like Dawn Raid is my everyday. So but I'm also trying not to let that affect me too much, because I realize in the grand scheme of things, that's not the biggest problem in the world. And, that will continue eventually, and people have much more difficult things to deal with. But that makes me a bit sad, I guess. But what's really pissing me off? I guess the way the UK has just didn't take this virus seriously initially, was like, it's frustrating, because that will literally you'll be able to quantify that decision in lives. Like there will be X amount of people that now will be dead that wouldn't have been dead if this didn't made. So that is tricky, definitely. I don't know. I find it's put of like this whole thing has just put everything in life on hold. I don't know if you found this, but I find it actually quite hard to focus on things. Like I'm trying to do this reading and I'm trying to like think about other anarchist struggles, because this hopefully is just going to be a temporary situation, and then it's just going to be back to the same old, the same fights or whatever. But it's hard to like focus on anything else, I think, isn't it? Like this virus just feel, and the quarantine just feels like all consuming, really. So I'm a bit distracted and a bit listless sometimes.
It's almost as if we've lost a sense of what the time horizon is at this point.
Yeah.
As you said, we don't know how long this is going to last. Yeah. And so I picture it as somebody walking in the fog. You don't know what's ahead of you. And you're just kind of, we're just all muddling through, I guess is the way that I would put it.
Yeah.
What's the thing you're most excited for when this shit is all over? The one thing that you're, even if it's a guilty pleasure, you're like, oh, I can't wait for that.
I got a bunch of shit, but I guess I probably meant to say like loads of cool Dawn Raid shit and promote tours that we but me and my girlfriend built a fire pit in our yard the other day, and we cooked like just food over like a fire for the first time, just made out of bricks and stuff, and that was awesome. I really enjoyed that a lot, and I really enjoyed that actually. I smelled so strongly of smoke by the end, but that was fucking cool, and I really want to like invite a few of my closest friends around and do that, and maybe we can try and cook a whole meal over this fire and just like try and do like, I think this whole thing, I'm hoping for a lot of people, has put a lot of things in perspective, I think, and it's really made me reconsider my social time and like the dead time I have, and like the way you spend your time, and I'm really hoping to try and hold on to that and remember this feeling and try and reconfigure some of my social time and do things differently and use my time better once this is all over. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to Jen's. I can think of 2 or 3 friends really I would invite over, cook a meal on the fire in my little yard. It would be like a super posy thing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's the first thing I'll do. Yeah,
absolutely. Two more questions. The first one, I like to ask people, if I could put you into a time machine and take you back in like just 10 years.
Yeah.
And you could meet a younger Simon.
Yeah.
What's the one piece of advice you would give yourself?
Buy loads of Bitcoin at the start and then sell it at peak. I don't know. Brush my teeth better and not have to get fillings. I don't know what 10 years. It's hard, isn't it? Like I think a lot of the mistakes you make in life, lessons that you only learn because you fucking made the mistake, and maybe someone would tell you fucking listen anyway. So I don't know. And it's also a lot of things that go wrong around me that I worry about are more like sort of global struggles. Like things go wrong at work, but they're minor, and you correct them, and a month later that stress is over or whatever. And my relationships, my girlfriend is fairly stable and fine, and no problems there. But like the things that I really worry about are it's sort of global politics, which I don't know how much I could do about. Maybe there's one person you could fucking assassinate. I don't know. Like
there we go.
Who's terrible at the moment? Prime Minister.
We could start an online poll for that one. That'll be fascinating, and then we'll get shut down really quick.
Yeah. But yeah, so either assassination, some sort of cryptocurrency investment, and brush my teeth better. No,
beautiful. That's right there is the trifecta. I think you've hit it right there.
Jesus. I hope people can hear the sarcasm when this is typed up, but anyway.
You know what? I'm just going to do the video, right? This is all lo-fi. So that was sarcastic. We're not actually going to assassinate anyone. So here's the main thing is I just want to send out to you guys, anyone watching this, just be safe. Wash your hands. And I'm wondering if you have any last words that you want to just send out to the people who may be watching this video right now at this time.
I think nothing I can add to the information about the virus, I think, that isn't being said or being said by people more knowledgeable than me. But the thing that worries me long term about this is obviously the police are just going to use this as a real killer power grab for them, I think. And I guess we're probably going to see police powers of like detention and sort of just general authoritarian control will be increased during this pandemic to control us, keeping us in our houses, to keep the virus under control. But they're also going to be powers that the police are going to be keen to keep hold of, I think. I guess we're going to see, I reckon we're going to see like a change in geopolitics afterwards. You hear this more in the US, but the constant criticism of China over this, you would worry that it would be ideal for the superpowers of the West, to keep the economies going, to prevent the coming recession. A war would be perfect for them, I guess. So I guess we just have to try and keep an eye on some of those negative impacts that we're going to see as a result of the virus. I think once this is over, there's obviously going to be some long-term after effects. But I also think there's going to be some positives. I don't know about the situation for you guys in the US. I don't know how it all works, but I know for us, they've had to just invest loads of money very quickly into our National Health Service. And it's been a huge upswell in support of the National Health Service. And I think we were sort of teetering on the point of privatizing that health service.
Yeah.
I think. And I really hope that this is this really kills that off, and this really highlights the importance of a nationalized health service, because a private healthcare companies are not fit to deal with a situation like this. So I'm really hoping that we can make some gains throughout this for those causes that we can then keep hold of afterwards. But we also have to keep an eye on the state doing the same in a very negative way, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to thank you, Simon from Dawn Raid. Where can folks go? I know you've had some tours canceled. You probably are sitting on a shitload of merch somewhere. Where can people go if they're looking to support you guys during this time?
I guess we still have we have shirts, long sleeve, patches, CDs, and records on our Bandcamp page. We have a merch tab on there. I guess you can stream our album everywhere. But honestly, we also we have jobs outside of this. So we're not relying on this for money. So obviously the support is cool and is really appreciated. But this isn't it's not our main source of income. So if people are really looking to support someone who's struggling, I guess maybe we shouldn't be the first priority. But if you do want to support us, we have a shit ton of merch.
And that right there is why you're one of the coolest motherfuckers I know. Right there, you put other people first, buddy. All right.
Yeah.
So listen, I want you to stay safe. Be safe. Tell Fabian, man, working in the hospitals, tell him to be safe.
Yeah.
And we'll catch up on the other side of this. I'll see Dawn Raid in Seattle again.
Yeah, we're back. Seattle fucking rules. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's been really nice chatting to you, man. It's cool chatting to different types of people in this situation, and I think that's been a kind of a positive, I guess, is that I feel like it's made everyone appreciate their relationships and friendships, a lot more, and communicate a lot more. Even unfortunately, it has to be electronic, but I hope that we all sort of really appreciate a lot of things in our life that maybe before we were taking for granted. I definitely hope to see that change in myself. So hopefully we can learn a lot from this.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you, Simon. Be safe. All right.
Good luck with the garden, man. And
all right.
let us know how all the vegetables go, and we can compare crops in autumn or whatever.
I like this. We'll get a little thing going where we compare our crops.
Yeah. It sounds like you have a bigger workforce, but anyway, good luck.
Yeah, no, but I'm not alienating their labor. Come on now.
Okay.
All right. Talk to you later.
Yeah, really nice to see you, man.
All right. Good to see you. Bye.